and welcome to episode 15 of Mad's World. Shout out to you guys for coming back every week. Please remember to subscribe, rate and review the podcast on your favourite listening platform. And this is an independent podcast, meaning I do everything myself, including editing, promotion, creative planning, social media, without the help of a label or a producer. So if you do enjoy the show, remember to share it with your friends or click the link in the bio to support the show for a price of a coffee. This week we're discussing bad boys. Hypermasculine and oozing testosterone, bad boys are bold, rebellious and emotionally unavailable. Everyone's had a mate who's dated someone that was clearly bad news, but strangely irresistible. Despite all the warning signs and red flags, the buzz of dating a bad boy can be really strong. So even with all the signs that heartbreak is on the horizon, why do we still find bad boys so appealing? Up next is my chat with Harriet, all about our experiences with bad boys. Hello, Harriet!
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's so good to have you back on the show. We had lots of good feedback from last episode. So,
Great.
Yeah, we love to see it back on the People's Podcast.
I'm here for the people.
Okay, well, if anyone wants to know a bit more about Harriet, then you can head back to episode 3 called Happily Ever After, where we talked all about dating apps. But I thought we could do another sort of different version of the speed round just for a bit of fun. So first question, What would you back yourself in a competition for?
I was really thinking about that one, and one of them's really sad, my thought process, and the other one is a donut eating contest.
A donut eating contest?
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, my thing would be overthinking, but then I was like, that's a bit sad. And then I was like, you know, donuts are a lot better than that.
Love that. How many donuts do you think you could eat?
How long have I got?
Jesus Christ. Are we talking donut time donuts or like mini donuts? I reckon I'd go mini, and how many could you stuff in your mouth?
At one time. I'm not sure I could fit more than one.
Stunning by you.
I know.
What is your most recent Google search?
This is slightly disturbing, but it's how many kills does it take to become a serial killer?
How many was it?
It's only 3. But it has to be over a prolonged period of time, and that's not me planning to become one. It's just...
How many kills are you already on? This is a public forum, Harriet. Don't reveal anything.
This is not on the agenda.
Oh my God. Okay, next question. What is your pet peeve?
I have a few. I'm really weird about these ones, like a little bit OCD. But I think my biggest one is just a personal hygiene thing. Like, can't stand when people smell. Like, deodorant is not an option. It's not an optional thing to have.
Do you know what really gets me is when deodorant brands advertise 48-hour protection? Have a shower. Have an actual shower. Like, who needs that 48-hour protection? You're not camping. You're not Bear Grylls. Like, you're at work.
Stop it. Honestly, like, people, I just can't stand it. And you know, when you're on public transport and it's busy and someone's pit is in your face, and oh Jesus,
I can't even imagine that now. Like, the tube is probably one of the grossest things about COVID. Just imagining, like, the germs down there.
Breeding ground.
Disgusting. So this episode is all about bad boys, and you have a story that inspired this episode, because this story that you told me it's one of a kind. And I told people the other night at the dinner table, and they were just like, did not expect that ending. So I'm going to throw over to you, and then we can have a bit of a chat about listener questions about bad boys and what actually are they? What is the appeal of dating them? So let me throw to Harriet to indulge us.
Okay, so this was a couple of years ago now, but I was on a night out with my friends. It was a Sunday night, which should have told me a lot of things about the people out. But it was a Sunday night, and obviously we were getting drunk, you know, having a good time. And I met this guy in the club that we were in. Got talking to him, ended up bringing him home.
Yep, as you do.
I mean, weirdly, on the way home, he was like, where do you live? Like, what estate do you live on? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, just here, you know, nothing, like, just on an estate. And he was like, okay, cool. And then when we got home, obviously one thing led to another. But it was super quick. And like, abnormally quick, not in a, it's okay, it happens to everyone quick. It was like, oh.
Like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah, like, I'm good, but not that good. So, you know, like, I was a bit like, oh gosh, I don't quite know how to address this one. So I kind of left it, and we were just chatting during the night, blah, blah, blah. And then the next morning when we woke up, I was obviously really hungover and just not in the mood for anything. And I was like, what was that about last night? Like, what the hell? And he was like, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to, like, scare you. And I was like, And he's like, I've not had sex in a really long time.
Why?
And I was like, interesting to be sharing the story, but go ahead. And he was like, yeah, so I just come out of prison. And I was like, what? I was like, sorry. And he was like, yeah, I've been in prison for 9 months. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this?
What? For what? What did he do? What did he do?
It was possession of a firearm, having it in my own public.
No.
Oh. Yeah, not one to take home to meet mom. I hope my mom doesn't really listen to this, but...
So you're just sitting in bed, you've shagged a con, and now... now you're just sitting there like, what do I do? There's a convict in my house.
Honestly, it was so funny. I just did not know what to do. So yeah, but the worst thing about this is he actually lives near me, and I see him every so often, just like bump into him, like, hi. Yeah. And the reason he didn't want to come to the estate was because it was a banned estate for him, apparently.
Fuck's sake. Like, you know what? It is funny, but it also goes to show you just don't know who you're going out with, right? Like, what the actual fuck?
Oh, gosh, it's really bad.
Oh.
I mean, that is just one for the advice books of be careful who you take home.
Honestly, like, that's like one of the top stories to prove you don't know who you're going out with. Oh my God. So
it's so bad.
So we've had some listener questions about what actually is a bad boy and why they like that. So I did some reading in the lead up to this podcast, and a lot of articles indicated that the most extreme and negative interpretations of bad boys is that they're said to display narcissistic and psychopathic qualities. So it's kind of like...
We love it.
We love it. This damaged guy, they're rebellious, they're emotionally unavailable, and it comes across as quite masculine.
I don't know. I think it's the narcissism in males sometimes, isn't it? It's that, like, rebel, they have to kind of... It's also weird, actually, because I was reading another article, this was actually on feminism, but why is it that guys say that females search for validation, but then their whole lives revolve around male validation?
Yeah.
And they say, like, females this, females that, but actually all they ever want is to be one of the boys.
Yeah.
It's that kind of interesting thing of, like, pushing against all boundaries set to them, you know, everything's testosterone fueled, you know, how big is your dick kind of thing. Yeah, and I don't know. I think as females sometimes that's what's, like, on a primal level.
Yeah, definitely.
Is what entices you, isn't it?
And I guess, like, another question we had was, what is the appeal of dating a bad boy? And I guess on, like, an unconscious evolutionary level, men with more masculine traits, like, may have better quality genes. And I think that's just like a really base primal sort of thing, as you were saying. I guess another thing is that bad boys probably free us from the pressure of having to be good all the time. So maybe it just lets people sort of let loose a bit. It kind of gives you a bit of leeway to, I don't know, go out and get fucked up and self-destruct your life and kamikaze like all of your surroundings. So yeah, I guess it's sort of like, if someone else is bad, it gives you that they'll accept you for who you are, even if you're an absolute train wreck type thing, which is quite relaxing, because it is hard to feel like you're good enough all the time for people. And I know especially now that I've got a boyfriend and he encourages me to do better and everything all the time, and I love that, but it is quite challenging sometimes, and you do feel a lot of pressure that you're not measuring up to someone and stuff, whether it's friends or family or boyfriends or whoever. So maybe the bad boys give you an excuse to sort of go and explore a bit more of a wild side.
Yeah, and I think especially like, I mean, I don't think I came from like a sheltered home, but I suppose sometimes people that have never like had I don't know, it's almost like romanticizing that wildness in life, isn't it? That actually chaos is sexy, but it's not. Like the more I've been around people that have had like more chaotic lives or anything, or like, you know, the bad boy with the trauma that you want to kind of try and help or whatever, but it's just like, actually that is not, like, you don't want that for yourself.
Definitely,
and
yeah.
having that is actually quite exhausting.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite interesting, like definitely as you grow up you kind of realise, me at the wise old age of 23, but you know, like, you know, you kind of realise that actually you're lucky to not be in that mind state.
100%. And when you hang out with people like that, you realize like very quickly when everything is spiraling and getting out of control, and the people who actually do care about you are the ones that are kind of like, what are you doing, man? Like, you need to slow down, you need to chill out a bit. Like, you're pushing away the people that actually care about you. Whereas those people that are spiraling down with you, they don't actually care about you on a deep level. They're just, you know, doing it to fuel their own sense of fun and satisfaction and stuff, maybe like by dragging you down.
Definitely, yeah.
What do you think is the appeal of fixing someone? So I would say I think it's because maybe typically bad boys are not inclined to settle down so easily. So maybe if like we could convince one to commit, it feels kind of like an accomplishment, like you've achieved something. And like what you were saying before about sort of like the eternal quest for validation and like the feeling of being enough for someone and stuff. Like, do you think maybe it comes from that? It's just always wanting that challenge and always wanting to feel validated by, potentially changing somebody enough that, I don't know, that you feel like you're good enough for them.
I get where that comes from completely, because it's like you are just trying to be like the savior or be like enough for this person. You know, there's so many studies on like, if people cheat, they'll do it again. You know, if they don't want to commit now, you can't make them, like, and I think that is the validation thing. Like, you want to be good enough for this person. You want to be that person for them. You know, there's people that will say like, oh, I never want to settle down and get married. I don't want kids. And it's like, no, I want to be the one that will convince them to be that person.
Exactly. And if you can change someone, does that make you in turn feel more worthy? Does it make you feel more funny, smart, cool? Like, what are you actually getting out of changing that person? And then if you did change them, you probably wouldn't be interested in them anymore anyway, because they wouldn't have that fixable like need, you know?
And I mean, I think completely, like, I think in the past I've dated people who, the more I found out about them, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm here for you, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that is like, it's good to be that person for other people. Like, you need to be supportive for people that are around you and your partner and whatever. But actually, when it comes at the expense of your own self-worth and like loving yourself at the same time, like, you put too much into that other person, and anything that they say like make or crushes you, you know, like make or breaks what you think about yourself.
If someone is there sort of helping you and bringing you up and, you know, bringing you back to a place that, I don't know, is considered acceptable and nice and everything, if that person was to leave your life suddenly, like whether you broke up or whatever it might be, you would just crumble. So it's sort of like you have to, if you did want to make a change to yourself, you have to change yourself from the inside out rather than using someone as a crutch, because if they leave, then it's all on you, like it's all over.
Definitely. And I think as well, I don't know, I was listening to this podcast the other day, but it was kind of like, you know, there's no amount of people you can surround yourself with, and there's no amount of like self-care you can do or anything like that that's going to fix what's inside.
Yeah, I guess if it's about you or about changing somebody else, whether whoever's helping who, if you use someone as a crutch to make a positive change, then you are running the risk of, you know, crumbling when that person inevitably does leave your life, whether it's through breaking up or losing touch or whatever it might be. So I guess, the lesson is you can surround yourself with people that support you, but you really need to do the work for yourself to sort of like build a strong foundation and a strong sense of self-esteem and trust in your own actions and everything to actually make a positive change that's permanent.
I mean, that is definitely just life advice for everyone, isn't it? Kind of the self-love thing for anyone in your life, but especially when you're dating these people that, you know, show you like the Machiavellian side to life, or they're running wild and they're doing all this thing that you're like, oh, that's kind of cool or whatever. And it shows you a side that means you don't have to face up to actually
reality,
yourself. Yeah. And like the person I'm with now is the complete opposite of anyone I've ever been with before. Like I probably wouldn't. I was said to him the other day, like, if someone gave me your personality on a piece of paper, it would not be somebody that I'd probably give the time of day to before. But I think the fact that he's actually taught me that it's okay to kind of chill out and just sit back, and like, not everything has to be mental all the time, or like you don't always have to have a problem that you're fixing. He's like, why does this have to be like this? So it's definitely a nice change to actually have someone that isn't interested in all of that. And like, I think it's just too much effort for him apart from anything. Like, why does he need to be going out and fighting and doing drugs and, sleeping with someone else every other week? Like, it's just too much for him.
It's a good change of pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Our last question is, do you think you can truly change a bad boy? So in my opinion, you can't change anybody that doesn't want to change themselves. So if you're just you're fighting a losing battle if someone doesn't actually want to change, and if you're trying to fix someone that either A, doesn't know they have a problem, or B, doesn't want to do anything about it, then you're already at a loss.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me of the one person that I think I've been with that really, really was the epitome of like toxic. And for him, he just could not see that he had any problem whatsoever. But it was just like unbelievable the way he like treated other people or spoke to other people, just the way he was out like in general public and everything. It's just not how you can go through life behaving. And I'm sure that there is a lot of things that he needs to unpack, but at that time there was no way, like nothing was his problem. So I think that's one of the things, isn't it? Like you can't take one of these bad boys and like, you can have fun with them. Like they're fun to be around, if you find someone that's actually a nice person as well, fun to be around. But it's not I'm sure a lot of people will tell you that it's not sustainable for the long term, and it's actually more just draining for you rather than a healthy, productive time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I guess if you did change them as well, you probably wouldn't be interested in them anymore anyway. So it's kind of like, it's just like a constant like chasing that rainbow. But, at the end of the day, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Like if someone doesn't want to change their behavior, like they're not going to change. So I guess the lesson is, stay away for your own good, but it is a bit of fun.
Self-preservation in all areas.
So if you're out there listening, reach out to me with your bad boy stories. I want to hear them all. And thank you very much for joining the podcast again, Harriet. You're always such a wonderful guest with loads of insight,
worries.
and I'm sure we're going to have lots of questions off the back of this app.
I just feel like I'm the blind leading the blind when it comes to advice.
All right, let's wrap it up there. But I'll chat to you soon, girl. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Harriet. Please let me know on my Instagram at madsworld.mp3 if you have any stories or thoughts of your own to share. Love and elbow taps. Peace.